People, deluded, good morning on this Sunday morning. Arsenal's under-18s completed a 5-2 victory against their West Ham counterparts away from home at West Ham's ground, or West Ham's pitch, or whatever you want to call it. Obviously, you know our under-18s, there's a good chance they'll win the league. Away from all of that, you lot know I love young players, and specifically the ones at my club. I do think it's even myself, you see all these videos about many of these young players. I'm not going to list them all. I love them, innit? I want them all to have top careers, whether they make it here or elsewhere. I do think even myself, when I remove that, it's wishful thinking. I'll never name them, but there's probably in my head only 2 players I feel have a snowball's chance of realistically reaching the first team level. But our under-18s have a good chance of winning the league and them things there, and it's another cricket score, and I like young players, and I'm proud of how they won this game. I'm proud of how they've been doing it this season as well. Going into the game, I will say I have to give credit to West Ham, specifically their keeper as well. Their keeper conceded 5 goals, but he's a keeper I know a bit about. I can't say his name. It begins with an S. I will do a separate vid. He's under-16s technically, scholar next year. And he had a good game. I feel he showed his rawness with a couple of saves, but his bravery to deny Balogun a couple of times, especially where there was one Balogun tried to go round him. His ball playing, bravery, like I said, really good keeper, man. Really good, man. West Ham got a couple of decent players, but we're going off target. I felt the game started well. I feel both sides continuously got down each other's sides well. Clearly, I don't know whether they've done their homework or whatever, but Lopez was playing at fullback. I feel he had a tough 20 minutes because it doesn't matter if it was 1-2s down our left-hand side, their right-hand side, passes, balls into space, balls over the top. It looked like they were targeting specifically his space or the gap in behind him and stuff. And Trey Coyle was tracking back and stuff, but they were taking advantage of that. In the middle, I feel it was cagey. I wouldn't say it's scrappy. I feel both teams were trying to feel each other out. I liked what I saw, man. I saw both teams trying to get the ball down and knock it. Obviously, you know, with us, Cotterill, Smith, we've obviously got Balogun, who likes to mix it up in terms of the runs. Coyle, who will always want the ball at his feet. Greenwood, who I feel was quite anonymous, to be fair with you, apart from, we'll get on to that, but apart from that, like, yeah, man, I feel both teams started off well, to be fair. Took a while to settle. Both teams were probably trying to feel each other out. 8th minute, Balogun had a snapshot. Keeper was equal to it, and that happened a couple of times. 9th minute, like I already said, it was a big save from the West Ham keeper to come off his line and meet Balogun. Apologies for the wind, people. I saw Lopez getting a skin in the first 20 minutes. He had a tough opening stages, 20 minutes, people, and he's still a first-year scholar. Technically, he's adapting, but I feel he had a tough time, man. Nothing was going right for him. He was just getting skinned continuously. Like, is it Brandon Da Costa Roca or something like that, number 7? He had Joe Lopez's number, in my opinion. But it looked like we'd get goals here, to be fair. I think obviously it's a bit of bias because I'm an Arsenal fan, but it did look like we'd get goals. It did look like we would probably just edge it as the stronger team, and don't get it twisted, after a while we was playing our football, the typical Arsenal stuff like these young G's have been doing this season. And Balogun's brought down on the left-hand side. It's a free kick. Greenwood's over it. He plays, I can't lie, it bamboozled me, and the only way to describe it is it must have been something they worked on in the training ground. Like you see with the first team, I'm happy to see this from the young G's. I thought Greenwood was going to whip it back post, and obviously one of our centre-halves or Balogun or someone's going to try and meet it. But he really hoodwinked me as well. I don't know if he meant it to happen like that, but it's like he's going to play it long. I wouldn't say under hit, but it's a low drive sort of thing. Swanson's the only one, if I can remember correctly, onto it, and he smashes it home, and it looked like a wonderful, well-drilled sort of set piece that we've been working on in training. It's 1-0 at this moment in time. What can I say, man? We'll take that all day long. 20 minutes, both teams probably settled and both teams were confident in themselves. I don't know it to be true, but I can only assume West Ham had some couple of younger players to us, because it did feel like we were probably getting it was a bit too easy for us physically. I feel we was winning one too many duels and stuff. You lot know I love Diallo. It was nice to see him for West Ham as well on their left-hand channel, and I was quite scared when he went down. I thought he was going to get a serious injury, but it's nice to see he played on. After the first 20 minutes, though, I will say Lopez, in an attacking sense, he was doing his thing. Barcelona, best cameo I've seen of him this season, in my humble opinion. To be fair, if I can remember, Southampton at home was a good game. But after the first 20 minutes, like I said, him finding it tough defensively. Offensively, he's going forward and he's looking like Jordi Alba. He's troubling. He's getting in behind. He's putting in some balls to no avail and things like that. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. The second goal obviously comes from the right-hand side, if I can remember correctly. Soon to leave this club, sadly. Vontae, on the base of his contract running out. Vontae Daly-Campbell, it's a lovely pass, lovely whip ball in behind to Balogun, who makes that run game in, game out. He picks up the ball. Balogun has a lot to do, to be fair with him. He's able to then obviously compose himself, get past his man and pull it home with his weaker foot, if I can remember correctly. It's 2-0, and I'd say that's just deserved. If I'm West Ham, I do think in the game, apologies about the wind, I did think West Ham deserved a goal, because I don't think West Ham played that bad, in my humble opinion. I know it's 5-2, and the only bad thing I could say from an Arsenal point of view is that we conceded in the second half 2 sloppy goals. We should have got a clean sheet. Don't get it twisted, our keeper had to make a couple of saves, and I feel he had a good game as well. But 20 minutes in, I feel we deserve it, man. Everybody's playing with a swagger, like you see. Everybody's confident, everybody's on it, man. Like, I'm seeing Cotterill in the meaty challenges, he's down for it, like they have been this season. 3-0 because of Lopez. That's probably the most enjoyable goal I saw personally, man. I mean, it comes from a throw-in on his side. I can't remember if he threw the ball or someone threw it to him. Either way, he picks it up. He literally beats like 3-4 men, people, before smashing it home into the West Ham roof of the net. It's 3-0, and I really liked what I saw from him. And maybe next year we see the best of Joel, because he's moved from a new country. He's technically a first-year scholar. He's only 16. Swanson will probably be moved up to the Under-23s if he is not released from this club. So there'll be a lot of game time for him to get at fullback, because Swanson really has been the first choice fullback on the left-hand side this season. So we'll see the best of him, and I'm happy to see little glimpses like I saw. But it's 3-0. Balogun should have scored a tap-in the 40th minute as well to make it 4, but at half-time we go in 3-0 if I can remember correctly. Second half, I'll give it to West Ham. Literally from the first moment, I think they started better than us, and we had to make a good clearance in the 49th minute off the line. West Ham started a bit stronger. They started with a bit more of a swagger sort of thing, like they really wanted to get back into the game. Vontae Daly-Campbell in the 52nd minute drew a good save from their keeper as well. And then we make it 4-0 from a corner. Eventually it falls to, if I can remember, was it McGuinness? Was it McGuinness? I think it was McGuinness, people. Eventually a ball comes in. It's poor defending from West Ham, to be fair with you. Poor marking, poor defending. Clear your lines, you lot are young professional footballers. Doesn't happen. Eventually it falls to McGuinness, and it's 4-0 at this moment in time. Now West Ham are looking at an uphill battle, to be fair. Obviously, Balogun shortly after got his second. Again, poor defending. He's on the West Ham shoulder. West Ham last man's shoulder. I mean, you should be communicating with your defender. He takes advantage and he puts it in the back of the net. It's 5-0 at this moment in time. Like I said, second half, I feel it was more of the same. We obviously, as players get tired and we're already in the game, we're starting to dominate, and it looks like West Ham have taken their foot off the gas. I feel they're still giving it. They're making substitutions. They're still trying, in my opinion. And yeah, to be fair, they deserved a goal. They made it 5-1. It's poor defending that they were able to capitalise on. It's 5-1 at that moment in time. McGuinness scored an own goal to make it 5-2 to them. Now, I did think he could have cleared it better because his body positioning was all wrong. But looking at that game again, the sequence in what led to that, there was numerous chances where we could have broke the phase of play down and we could have made a certain challenge, and if it wasn't going to be him, I think it would have went in the back of the net either way. So we could have done better in that regards. But don't let me discredit West Ham. I felt that was a good move for the second goal. I think it was a good move. No clue how many people got touches and passes, but I feel it was a good move, and they deserved a goal. To be fair, they deserved their 2 goals. The only criticism I can have from an Arsenal point of view is clean sheet, man, for the keeper, because I felt the keeper deserved it. But other than that, I feel we were up for it, man. We had obviously had great chances. They had a chance to make it 5-3, but it was a weak effort towards the end of the game. We had chances where we could have added to the scoreline and things like that, but it wasn't meant to be. But either way, 5-2 victory. Another 3 points for our boys. They really have a good chance of winning the league. Like I said at the beginning, I don't think a lot of these players, it will be tough for them to have careers at Arsenal, but I do back a lot of them to try and at least bridge the gap and get into the first team. And I do believe whether here or elsewhere, a couple of them will have good careers, good level playing careers. And I'll support that, man. Probably wanted to see a bit more from Greenwood and Coyle in particular, because I know they've got it in them, and typically they're the sort of star men. But it is what it is. You can't be at it all game, and at the end of the day, it's a 5-2 victory. We did what we needed to do. Balogun got a brace, and to be honest, for him, it's now he's doing all he can to get a start or whatever in the Under-23s. Obviously, it becomes political because John Jules is a bad boy striker in his own right, and he's probably first choice if Nketiah is not there. Nketiah is already there as well. So there's 3 players possibly fighting between John Jules, Nketiah, however you want to pronounce his name, and obviously Balogun to be the sort of third or fourth choice if you have at Arsenal currently, because obviously Welbs is injured. Wells is probably going to leave at the end of the season. There's a spot to be open there. Sadly, if if Lacazette or Aubameyang get injured, we need to do something to get around that, to which it probably won't be them, but you want to be within the manager's sort of thinking, to be fair. And they're doing all they can, to be fair. They're doing all they can, but I've got nothing more to add to this, man. The only criticism is that we could have kept a clean sheet, purely, and that's just because I was a fullback. I would have loved to have kept a clean sheet if we scored 5 goals, but it is what it is. Convincing win, good performance from each man to a man. And yeah, man, people like Cotterill, I'd love to see him possibly fly to Dubai with England. I mean, with Arsenal when we go off in the international break, or just train with the team, man, because I think he's done all right, and he's one of the under the radar ones, because obviously when you speak about Arsenal, I do it myself. I'm saying John Jules, Amici, Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, Nelson, collectively from under-18s to, if you're like the like of Maitland now's first team or just in above, you don't typically hear the likes of Matt Smith or Cotterill. I believe someone like Matt Smith, if he was at Spurs, he would have got some of the chances Skip has now. I like Skip. I've made a video about him, but I don't necessarily feel he's technically as good as Smith, and I feel Smith can give you what Skip can. And if he was at Spurs, I think Poch might have given him the chances that Skip had, or he would have been in his thinking. But that's just me being hypothetical. I don't know that to be a fact, but I'm gonna get out of here, people. Like I said, Arsenal 5, West Ham 2. People, deluded, I'm out. And both of them goals came quite late, within probably the last 15-20 minutes, not to be specific. So in terms of game management, maybe possibly our young G's can improve, but other than that, great performance from the lads. On that note though, people, deluded, I'm out. Thank you for watching.